F1 Chat. We have the F1 Sprint Race and F1 Report from COTA. Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, Max Verstappen, the FIA, Haas, and Red Bull. All that and more on the F1 Chat.
It's always Bottas, Stroll, Zhou Guan Yu, and then random.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Hello there in Internetland. This is episode 20 of the F1 Chat. I'm your host, Phil Lamington. Seated to my left is not JB. It's Longhorn. He's back in the saddle. How are you, my friend?
Doing well. Got a new pair of headphones, so upgraded seat. I'm on the left these days. Things are going well. The career's going up. Projections up.
He's on the front of the grid going into turn one.
Well, it's almost like F3 Stroll. Like, Dad's got a couple of bill in the bank. Getting some cheat codes.
You get to play the game with cheat codes.
Time to play the game.
Insert Motorhead right here. And joining us via satellite at the end of the video scope is a JB. JB, how are you? Good sir.
Good evening, gentlemen. Yeah, not too bad, boys. Not too bad, but I feel like a little bit like Lando. I started on pole and I've been pushed wide in turn one and now down to about fourth. So,
but
not flat, but I'm good.
I'm imagining both of you guys are just as happy as me, and not because of the F1 race, but because of what was announced this morning at 5 a.m. that Metallica are coming to Australia next year. That's
yes, they are.
Tickets are only $495 each. And
times that by a stadium. They're going to make their money's worth.
It's at Suncorp.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Well, tickets go on sale on Tuesday, and you've still got your money in the bank with me from the last time they were supposed to be here. So, I think your ticket is paid for.
They're playing in Brisbane. I finished night shift that morning.
You're just going to have to book the week off.
Have to have a sickie.
Finish night shift, fly to Brisbane, and then that's all right. I'll just take the last 2 nights of the swing off. No biggie.
Yeah.
I'm booking it beyond a year in advance. I'm sure I'll be fine.
It should be right with 2 days, surely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. But I've got another reason to be happy, but we're getting there. We watched the Circuit of the Americas Grand Prix from Austin, Texas. COTA. It was quite the event. We're going to kick off first with the sprint race. If JB... Yes, there was a sprint race.
There was a sprint race. So, the sprint race from Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. That one, Max Verstappen starts on pole position alongside George Russell. Max Verstappen holds the lead. Lando Norris has a super start to go from 4th to 2nd. Charles Leclerc dive bombs George Russell for 2nd place, but George Russell fights him back for a few corners to regain 2nd place. Lap 3, Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz scrap hard for 4th place, Charles Leclerc holding on to the advantage. Lap 9, Carlos Sainz slips under George Russell for 3rd. Lap 10, Charles Leclerc gets under George Russell for 4th place in a carbon copy move of his teammate a lap earlier. Lap 16, Oscar Piastri moves past Yuki Tsunoda for 10th after starting 16th for his terrible qualifying. Lap 19, Lando Norris locks up into turn 1 and Carlos Sainz picks him off for 2nd place. Charles Leclerc nearly runs up the backside of Lando Norris as Lando takes a tight line to hold on to 3rd place. Meanwhile, Max Verstappen wins the F1 sprint race ahead of Carlos Sainz.
In fourth place was Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari. Fifth place was George Russell in the Mercedes. Sixth place was Lewis Hamilton in the other Mercedes. Seventh place was Kevin Magnussen in the Haas.
Are we reading that right?
What? The fuck? And eighth place was Nico Hulkenberg in the other Haas.
Haas got a bit of juice.
What? Wait. When the fuck did this become a thing?
They're probably the informed car out of the top 4, amazingly. They're probably just about the 5th best car on the grid.
How?
I don't know how, but they just are.
Like,
I don't know if they're good or all the constructors behind them are just that bad.
But how? I don't get it. But
Komatsu power.
Powered by Komatsu.
Powered by Komatsu.
I just don't get it. I don't get it.
What did you
That's
think
a
of the
home
sprint?
track too, you know.
What did you guys think of the sprint race?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Yeah, maybe this track does actually work in the sprint race format. But,
It showed Lando's got some glitches in his game, though. I mean, he made that mistake in the last lap, and
He's been showing
it
that all
shows
year,
that
to be
whatever
fair.
the hell's going on at 4th place on that grid spot, because Charles Leclerc started 4th at the Grand Prix, as we'll get to, and he led the race into turn 1.
Seems to be
Lando
this.
starting from 4th and getting to 2nd, I mean, there's something magical about that grid slot, apparently.
Yeah, it seems to be the spot of choice. Just quickly on sprint races, even though this sprint race was kind of alright, what's your guys' thoughts on sprint races? I'll quickly give mine. I'm starting to find them a bit old. I don't know if I'm enjoying them anymore like I used to. I feel like with all the extended races, the extra races we've got now, I almost feel like the sprint races are redundant unless we were to change it up like we've said before on this podcast where you made it a reserve driver race or, mix it up, we gave it something different to watch.
or make them drive on a dry track with wet tyres.
Yeah, like make it fun or something.
Yeah, even if they sit there with a sprinkler and artificially make it wet.
Have a couple of tarps with, soap or, in a couple of different spots, like half on the track. So if you'd go on that side, you'd spin off. And,
Have the grid boys, the grid kids, sit there with like squirt bottles, just Nerf guns filled with water and soap, just making corners that would be notoriously bad even worse with soapy wet water. I mean, that could work.
I'm liking these ideas. This would make me tune in.
Yeah, I mean, these are great. You could also attach like someone in a wheelchair to the back of the car, so that like as they're going around, they've got to take the wheelchair that's tied to the back of them with a person in it, preferably an old granny, because they're old and it's getting towards the end of their lifespan, so it doesn't really matter.
Just fodder, cannon fodder at this point.
You know what they should really do is, and they used to do it with the Melbourne Grand Prix, they don't do it anymore, is bring back the celebrity races. I mean, I don't want to put them in the F1 cars. That's fucking dangerous. But just bring back the celebrity races for the sake of the spectacle.
Yeah, just make something more fun. At the moment, it's kind of like, you just get 20 laps of what you'd be getting in the race, and I'd rather just see it in the race than see it in the sprint, unless you're going to change it up a bit, like, reverse gridding the 10 to 1 is like, do 20 to 1 or something. I don't know, I feel like it's just getting old and it needs a new formula.
It is kind of pointless. Like, I don't see the value in it, honestly.
Yeah.
I really don't.
I think it was excited
Like,
at first.
You're getting the first stint of the Grand Prix the next day.
Yeah.
Except then the checkered flag falls. Instead of a pit stop, the race ends.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
How about this for an idea then? If they run the sprint races on a track where it's got like an alternate version of the track.
Yeah, do it backwards or something.
Yeah, like what was it? Was it Bahrain? Where they had Bahrain.
Yeah, but Bahrain's got that outer loop, and then Monza's got like an alternate version too. I think Suzuka's got an alternate version.
Suzuki. See you in Suzuki, boys.
Spa's got an alternate version too. They can run the one from the 70s. It's like 38 kilometers long.
Yeah.
It's like a one-lap dash, but you just have to drive through the town and shit.
Yeah, that's what I want to see.
Yeah.
An Isle of Man Formula One.
Yeah. One lap, but it's 38 kilometres.
Oh, look, I think the problem with the sprint races is they've got to pick their tracks wiser.
Yeah, they haven't done a great job over the last couple of
You
years.
know, every year they change it. I mean, they've changed it again for next year. It's like, well, what's the point?
Yeah, I feel like you just need to lock down the ones that have worked. What have been the best sprint races so far? What tracks are designed best for a sprint race, and just stick to them. Don't bother changing them up because, yeah, I don't know. I just thought I'd quickly bring it up because I really am losing interest in the sprint races. They're kind of like, I don't even know if they're worth watching anymore, you know? Just watch the highlights of them these days because it's like, I just want to see the race. You're just showing me, as JB said, you're just showing me the first stint of the race, and no one really gets a chance to do much unless you're in a good car and you've got positions to take because there's no pit stops or anything to make it.
Yeah,
you know,
it's an artificial spectacle.
Yeah, it's exactly how it feels. It's just like, it's almost like, here's an extra bit of content, you know, because we're charging so much for Formula One these days, we've got to make more money. Content, everything's content, and sometimes less is more. And I think it's like that in Formula One, you know, like, it's always been that way, less is more, and these days we're just more and more and more, and I feel like it takes a little bit away from it. And I'd rather, if we're just going to have extra races, just stick to races. Don't worry about the sprint races in the current format we do it, because it's like, we're just oversaturating the racing, if that makes sense. It's almost like it's too much to take in, you know, like.
And we're just handing out points for the sake of handing out points.
Exactly right, you know. It's just, yeah, it's not really adding anything for me anymore.
This actually brings a side point for me, and I'm not going to try and dwell on this for too long, but JB can probably remember this from a long time ago, back when, you know, Senna and Prost, Damon Hill, all those guys were driving in F1. It was a frequent thing where you'd hear, like, you'd see a car do well at qualifying, and then they'd get to the race and they'd just plummet backwards, and you'd hear Murray Walker sit there and say they've got the car set up wrong. Nowadays, I think with all the computerized technology and everything, and, you know, being able to map everything, they've taken that part away as well.
Yep.
And I know that's a far cry from the sprint races, but all this computerized stuff is sort of taking the human element out of F1. I think something like a sprint race, if you just told them, not allowed to use the computers, switch off the computers. Not allowed on the computers, you know, or if they want to improve sprint races, make them do a mandatory pit stop, so that they actually have to use the soft tyres. Just tell them they can only use the soft tyres.
That's right. Yeah, make them do 2 stints on the softs,
and they have to half their pit crew.
Yeah, 100%, like a Formula 2 race,
or like IndyCar. Because IndyCar, they don't have 4 people working on the tyres. They only got two and two, I think.
You got to switch sides. You got to change the tires on one side and then run around and change tires on the other side.
Yeah.
That'd be sad. Imagine how they have with like 4 guys on the pit crew. They've got to do it IndyCar style.
Yeah, it's just so processional. It's, you know, I remember, was it last year Spa where they had interrupted practice, and when we finally got to the race, not every team had done all their computerized simulations to know exactly what they needed to do for the whole race. So we had this interesting race where some guys got it right, some guys got it wrong, and it actually made some jeopardy in the race that made it more interesting outside of car go fast. And these days I feel like with all the technology we've got, we've eliminated that jeopardy that used to make F1 so interesting. Refueling, you know, even a tyre walk. And we have, like, I just feel like we do need to bring that back, that jeopardy, because the technology's so good these days, and these drivers are so good these days. There's rarely an error, rarely a bit of jeopardy. I find so often these days I'm watching a race, and after the first lap, if not much has happened, you're like, well, not much is going to happen until the pit stop, because if they've had a perfect weekend of all their simulations and everything, all the setups right, you just get a DRS train, because everyone's got everything as good as they can. No one's going to drop back off of a poor, you know, setup. Not that drastically that it's interesting, you know. So, yeah,
I think that brings about.
I think that's the closest thing Formula One can do right now, because every sprint weekend, you only get 1 practice session. That's the closest they can do to cutting telemetry and data.
Yeah.
Because you get 60 minutes of running, and that's it. As opposed to a normal weekend where you get 3 1-hour sessions, you only get one.
Yeah.
But even then, like, and then you just run then you run the sprint race, and you've got all the time data you need for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so what's it matter?
That's why I think they should just be only able to run the soft tyre. Or,
Yeah.
seeing that Pirelli seem to want to make money off tyres, bring back the purple tyre the qualifying tyre.
Super soft. Bring
Yeah.
the hyper soft back. Remember them?
Yeah,
Bring it all back. Give us
Lasts
6 sets of
lasts
tyres.
like 2 laps.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a 20-lap race, but you got to have 10 pit stops. It's going to be fucking brutal.
Yes, this is what I want to see.
Yeah, see, there we go.
And-
Viewer engagement increased.
Yeah, throw something in like a bonus point for the team with the quickest pit stop. Like, I don't know, just throw a bit more jeopardy, make it a bit different than this processional 20-lap stint that we're going to see the next day. Because
They have to run out, they're going to spin a big wheel, and whatever tyre it lands on is what they're going to run for the next stint.
yeah, they jump out and it's like a big
Oh,
roulette. Hey, it's like it goes around.
Congratulations, you're going to run the extreme laps.
For some reason, my brain went straight to Greg Murphy at Bathurst, going, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. I don't know why that popped in there.
The team principal has to spin the big wheel. And then whatever it lands, like, oh, bankrupt. Sorry, Mercedes, you
It's
lost
like,
all your money.
oh no, Lewis, you've got to go jump into the big pool of slime before you can get back into the Formula 1 car.
Or what they could do is like kid rules, where all the cars are parked up and the kids have got to run into the car. That not just their car, they can jump into any car. But there's only 18 cars, so 2 drivers are immediately eliminated.
Like musical chairs.
Yeah.
The first 18
Like
in.
Takashi's castle. Whenever they get to the top, can drive.
Have like
fantastic.
stops
I'd watch.
around the track where they got to pull over and chug a beer, you know? Like
But we'll take a page out of the video game MASH. The 2 drivers don't make it, get cannons on like the most difficult corners that shoot paintballs out at the other drivers.
how about we just do that?
Oh,
We just
no.
do a paintball tournament for the 20 drivers. That would be more interesting. So watch that. Elimination paintball tournament.
We'll just stick the drivers, take their cars away. They've got to drive John Deere ride-on lawnmowers around the
now we're
track,
talking. Motorized eskies. That's what they've got to ride.
or postman motorbikes.
Yeah.
The old Hondas. Right, so we're going to move on to the F1 report,
Yes, the actual Grand Prix.
the actual Grand Prix. Here we-
Yes, the Grand Prix, the 2024 Pirelli United States Grand Prix
The main quest.
from Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas.
Max, Formula 1 is not a side quest. It's the main quest.
Lap 1, Lando Norris starts on pole position alongside Max Verstappen. Charles Leclerc gets a rocket start to go from 4th to 1st as Verstappen pushes Norris wide in turn 1. Esteban Ocon is spun by Alex Albon in turn 1. Max Verstappen is pushed off track by Carlos Sainz, but holds his position around the outside of the track limits, but is not penalised. That will become important later. Lap 3, Lewis Hamilton spins into the gravel trap at the same corner. Mercedes teammate George Russell wrecked his car in qualifying the day previous. Lewis burying his Mercedes and retiring from the Grand Prix. Lap 9, Carlos Sainz says he can smell fuel in his Ferrari. Lap 10, Zhou Guanyu spins on his own in turn 1. Lap 14, Red Bull tell Max Verstappen they found an issue with his car, but say they can fix it in the pit stop. Lap 16, George Russell is handed a 5-second time penalty for forcing Valtteri Bottas off the track. Lap 22, Carlos Sainz pits for hard tyres to try and undercut Max Verstappen. Lap 26, Max Verstappen pits for hard tyres, but Carlos's undercut works, and the Ferrari driver takes what will become net second place in the Grand Prix. Lap 27, Charles Leclerc pits for hard tyres from the lead of the race. Lap 31, Lando Norris pits for hard tyres. Lap 32, Oscar Piastri pits for hard tyres. Lap 41, Yuki Tsunoda spins at turn 1 on his own. Lap 52, Lando Norris passes Max Verstappen for third place as he is pushed wide by the Red Bull driver off track. McLaren believed Lando was ahead at the apex, but the FIA handed Lando Norris a 5-second time penalty for leaving the track and gaining an advantage, costing him a podium. Lap 56, Charles Leclerc wins the United States Grand Prix from Ferrari teammate Carlos Sainz, Max Verstappen inheriting third place from Lando Norris. Esteban Ocon gets an irrelevant fastest lap point for being outside the top 10, so she doesn't get the point at all. And Charles Leclerc gets driver of the day.
In fourth place was Lando Norris in the McLaren. Fifth place was Oscar Piastri in the other McLaren. Sixth place was George Russell in the Mercedes. Seventh place was Sergio Perez making a cameo appearance in the top fucking 10 for Red Bull. Eighth place was Nico Hulkenberg in the Haas. Ninth place was Liam Lawson in the RB. And in 10th place is Franco Colapinto in the Williams. What in the hell is going on?
Fun.
The rookies have talent.
So,
and the Haas was decent at third track.
So, we're going to get to his subject in a sec, but we'll talk about Charles Leclerc first. He drove a really good race. He was right in there, right in the pocket. And look, I didn't think Ferrari had a hope in Hades. I thought this was going to be a maxi pad screaming off into the distance or a Lando latte boy screaming off into the distance win. Instead, it was Charles Leclerc screaming off into the distance.
It's both Ferraris screaming off into the distance.
And it was
Ferrari won too.
The Ferrari was the only car that didn't arrive at COTA with upgrades. Look, they didn't put any new upgrades on it. And
obviously, we're going to go take some upgrades off the car.
Look, I think Lando Norris had the faster car. But
we just had Max Verstappen as a barge board.
But, Charles Leclerc, he really did drive a phenomenal race. He deserved driver of the day and just...
Full credit to him, eh? Once he took the lead in that first corner, which was a great move. What did he go from fourth? He was fourth?
Yeah.
Fourth to first and just never looked back from there. It was, pretty impressive.
Right. So, before we get into the key drivers and that, we got to talk about it. The incident between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris.
Let the boys race.
I don't know about you guys, but I know that you and I spoke about this before we video called JB. But I was noticing there was a lot of overtakes that involved the driver just pushing the other driver off the track. Over and over and over again.
Happened multiple times. At the same corner, mostly. At the end of the hairpin, at the back straight. Because I'm pretty sure George Russell got a time penalty for doing it to... Who did I say he did it to?
Was it Bottas?
Whoever it was.
I think it was Bottas.
I think it was Bottas. He did it to Bottas. He got a 5-second time penalty. And then Max does it to Lando, but Lando gets the penalty. No, I think Max did it to someone else as well. He drove around the outside of someone off the track. And then Lando did it later, and Lando got a penalty for it.
Well,
but Max didn't when he did it initially.
Max did it to Lando on the first corner, which led to Charles Leclerc taking the lead of the race. What I don't understand is, and I know some people are going to get pissed off when I say this, but it seems like it's George Russell, Max Verstappen, and Lando Norris that seem to be spearheading this thing of, if I'm going to overtake you, I'm also going to shove you off the track at the same time.
Well, the strategy seems to be, I'm going to dive bomb you on the inside, and as we come out the apex, I'm going to be just ahead from my dive bomb, that I'm going to claim I was ahead going into the gate, like coming out of the apex, so that you going off track doesn't count as a penalty because I'm claiming I was in front. That's what the strategy seems to be, is that I can dive bomb and push you off as long as I can say I was slightly in front of you as they're about to hit the apex. Like, that's what it seems to be.
Max was pushed off the track by Carlos Sainz when he held his position and didn't get a penalty for it. But then Lando did the same thing when Max did it to him, and Lando got a penalty for it.
Yeah.
Go figure.
And the even sadder thing about that penalty is, right, Lando Norris now, when they got to the apex, yes, Max was still ahead going when they reached the apex. And then both cars went off the track. Like, Max had all four wheels off the track as well. Lando Norris gained an advantage off the track. I understand that. Call me strange, call me kooky, though. I kind of feel like both of them deserved a penalty. Like, Lando completed the move off the track. But frankly, what Max is doing with this shove him off the track bullshit, that's far more dangerous than Lando Norris completing an overtake off the track. Right? Am I going cuckoo bang crazy here or what?
Lando's basically out there because he's trying to avoid contact with an over-aggressive driver.
Yeah.
That's
it. Like, that's the whole reason he's out there in the first place.
I think you've got a point, Phil. Like, it's either got to be a penalty to both of them or no penalties at all.
Maybe they need to start painting like a yellow line to highlight where the apex of the corner is.
Just put walls or gravel there, so that if you go off...
No, just so that when they hit the apex, then there's a clearly marked line to determine who's at the front at the apex. But I think it's a stupid rule to begin with. Let the drivers drive, let the racers race. Racers race, cops should go eat donuts. If Michael Massey was still in charge, this shit wouldn't happen. And I'm just really starting to get annoyed with this. We can't complete an overtake properly. We'll just shove them off the track and then say, I was ahead at the apex. Yeah, but what the fuck? Like, you shouldn't be shoving people off the track. That's fucking dangerous.
Have we got a problem with this track then, that it seemed to be that same corner where they all were doing it? They all seem to be taking advantage of the same overtake.
I think there is an issue with the design of the track. I mean, look at how IndyCar was taking the corners on that track a few years ago. They reinvented track limits.
There wasn't any.
They weren't taking the corners. That's the thing.
The corners were taking them.
Yeah.
They bought the corner off fucking Wish.
It seems to be a good corner for MotoGP, but not quite for like Formula One cars.
And it just highlights it highlights Herman Tilke's inability to design a track that isn't some form of gimmick-based bullshit, because it comes at the end of a long straight. Then you've got a stupid 90-degree or a hairpin. Have a flowing corner where the track narrows. Try that for a difference.
Try anything.
Try anything other than long straight hairpin or long straight 90-degree turn with a heavy braking zone. Because you're either going to create a late braking maneuver that ends up with someone getting pushed off the track,
which is what we got,
or you can end up with someone trying to late braking maneuver, their brakes fail and they plow into the other car. I don't know, but I mean, going back to Norris and Max Verstappen, I honestly think both of them deserve a penalty. But if it were up to me, and I'm not trying to play favourites or anything, if it were up to me, it'd be a 5-second penalty for Lando Norris for completing the overtake off the track, which, JB, I think you can admit would be pretty fair.
Well, that's what happened, so I guess I have to admit that it was fair.
And
that's how the FIA saw it.
I would give Max Verstappen a stop-go penalty for a dangerous manoeuvre and forcing another driver off the track.
Well, that's usually a 5-second time penalty in its own right, but that wasn't enforced.
Yeah.
It was for George Russell, but not for Max Verstappen.
Which then leads to, I think there's a problem with the race stewards.
It's been inconsistent all year.
You can't pick and choose. You can't pick and choose who you hand a penalty to.
Like,
if that law is black and white, then it applies to everybody. You can't have 3 carbon copy instances and only penalise one.
Yeah, like me watching the race, that first one, I got to admit, I okay with it. First lap, I was kind of just like...
Because it's
whatever.
first lap.
Yeah, first lap, let it go. You know, interesting first corner. It was always going to be a battle to, you know, et cetera, et cetera. The George Russell one, why I understand it's a penalty, I didn't like him getting it because we allowed that to happen on the first lap. Even though first lap incidences are a different thing to the rest of the race. I was kind of like, in my head, I'm like, well, you've set a precedent that you can overtake that way into that corner because you let it go at the start of the race. And now you're going to penalise George Russell. And then it was, again, it was just inconsistent. They made an inconsistency out of something. They could have just gone, we'll just leave it in this grey area and let it go because we set at the start of the race that it's fine. Just let it go. Instead, they've picked and choose.
It doesn't need to be inconsistent. If you want it to be not inconsistent, it's a black and white rule.
Exactly.
It doesn't. There's actually no need for it to be grey at all. It's either you force the driver off the track unnecessarily. It's a 5-second time penalty.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the rule.
Yeah.
That's the rule.
The problem is this rule has this little bit called I was ahead at the apex. I think that bit needs to be ditched. That bit just, you know, oh no, I was ahead at the apex. You know, you've got Lando sitting there saying, oh, I was ahead at the apex. It shouldn't matter who's ahead at the fucking apex. It should matter if someone is getting pushed off the track and if someone is completing an overtake off the track.
It should be your
both of which happens. Both of which happened in that instance, but only one got punished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is absolute
Lando
bullshit.
got punished when he was out there in the first place.
They both should have been punished. And I mean, we saw the same thing in Austria between these two. We saw it the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah. That resulted in contact though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then
I mean,
Lando Norris got a penalty and Max Verstappen got a flat tyre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And didn't Lando Norris have to retire from the race anyway because of the body damage?
Sure did.
Yeah. So, you know, it's...
Max Verstappen got a penalty for that too, didn't he?
Yeah, 5-second penalty.
Yeah, that was it. But yeah.
But it just feels like they're this driving dirty bullshit is, you know, or, you know, it's what's the term? Something racing. It's real racing. You know, it's rough racing,
Rubbins racing,
rough and fair racing, or something. That's not rough and fair racing. It's dirty racing. If you did that in the Formula One game, you'd have Jeff in your ear saying, "Mate, the stewards are not happy with your creative interpretation of the track limits."
Well, that's what it seems to be. It seems to be a creative interpretation of I'm in front of the apex, so AKA
I'm entitled to the...
Yeah, I'm entitled to the space that I've just taken completely over because I was AKA in front of the apex.
Yeah.
And it means that they're sort of doing this dive bomb maneuver where they're coming from far back knowing that if I hit this spot, I'm going to be ahead at the apex, even though it's going to push them completely off track. I can claim, well, I was ahead at the apex and try and abuse this rule where really your intention was to dive bomb and the consequences of your dive bombing is pushed a car off track. Doesn't matter that you've come out on the apex. You've taken their space and pushed them wide. So like you guys are saying, should be a penalty, black and white.
Yeah.
Shouldn't matter that you were ahead at the apex because if you're ahead at the apex and especially because like Max Verstappen went off the track, like
yeah,
it's not like he kept all four wheels on the track.
No,
and,
he was completely off the track too.
Yeah, so yeah, I think you guys are right. They just need the inconsistencies. It's been like it all year with these stewards. So we don't even have one, do we? We've still got like a rotation at the moment.
No, I think it's one now.
It's one now, is it?
It's one now. But here's the thing, and the Lewis Hamilton fanboys are going to hate this one. We didn't have this with Michael Massey.
No.
We didn't have this issue. We had, even if it was wrong, we had definitive calls. And...
I don't know, he let Lewis get away with it at lap 1 in Abu Dhabi.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that. You were very right. But then he got revenge on the last lap. He balanced the ledger in the final lap.
It's like when your team.
Absolutely balanced the ledger.
It's like when a team gets a penalty, but it's a really shit penalty, and the keeper saves it. And it's like, football's had justice. It's been done. Like it's one of them penalties that you don't want to see, but they've been given it, and the keeper saves it, and you're like, justice is done, been restored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
I just think the rules are a bit inconsistent, and I think both guys should have gotten a penalty. Like if Lando had pulled over and handed the place back to Max, then no problem, no penalty.
Well, they discussed that, didn't they? Him and the team?
Yeah. Because
They discussed it, but McLaren were adamant that Lando was ahead at the apex, which, if you watch any replay angle of that incident, he was never ahead at the apex.
No.
So I don't know where McLaren was going. I don't know where McLaren was going with that, actually.
Well, they were just probably going with the fact that Verstappen's gotten away with it. They're going to let...
Yeah, well, he did.
Because it's
Max got away with it on lap 1, doing it to Carlos.
Yeah. I almost feel like McLaren probably thought, like, because these two guys are in a championship race and they're racing so hard, the stewards are going to let them get away. Which leaves things into interpretation, which is not what we want. We just want black and white. Shouldn't matter that them two are the championship protagonists. If we've got a black and white wall broken, come down with the hammer. 5-second penalty.
Yeah.
Oh, they never make it easy in the world of Formula 1, do they?
No, they never do.
But you know what was easy was coming up with the key drivers for this race. First one was Carlos Sainz. Drove a solid race.
Good weekend.
Kept his nose clean.
Weekend.
First 1-2 in America for Ferrari since 2006.
Been a while.
That's pretty good.
2006, was that the year that all of Michelin drivers pulled out before the start of the race?
Yeah, that was Indy. I think that was Indy. Oh, no, that was 2005.
No wonder we got a 1-2 then.
There's only 7 cars on the
There's
grid.
6 cars on the
There's
track.
only 6 cars on the grid.
Two Ferraris, 2 Jordans, and a pair of Minardis.
Yeah. Didn't the
I'm
Jordan
pretty
get
sure
podium?
I'm pretty sure Mark Webber got a podium.
Yeah.
No. The other podium was Giancarlo Fisichella in the Jordan.
Yeah, the Jordan got it.
Yeah, it's just like 2 Ferraris and a shit car.
Is that
like,
when
well,
Webber
I
got
hope I
5th in the
got some-
Minardi? Is that the race?
No. That was Australia.
Right, that's
was
right.
Australia.
He did it at home soil. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He would have got a 5th or 6th though at least. So yeah.
Not that day. No,
No?
he was driving for Jaguar.
Ah, righto.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or no, he was driving for Williams. He was in Williams at the time. Yeah. Right. My next key driver was Oscar Piastri. He kept his nose clean. He didn't. He sort of stayed under the radar, but he did all right. Got some biscuits at the end.
Well, his weekend didn't start great, but it finished all right, so I guess you got to give props where props are due.
Same with my next driver, which is George Russell. He had the same thing. Like he put it in the wall during qualifying.
Bottled it in qualifying, but started second for the sprint race, and
Yeah.
then I think he came through in top 10s in the Grand Prix, so that's
He
good.
started from the pit lane, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. In the race.
I think he finished about 6th or something. Yeah, it was a good effort by him.
Yeah, to come from where he did.
6th.
Yeah, he did. He beat Sergio Perez.
That ain't hard.
No, it's not.
My next key driver is Nico Hulkenberg.
Yeah.
Had a solid weekend.
Even Kevin Magnussen did. These Haas boys.
Both the Haas's did.
Yeah.
It's it's kind of good to see.
Yeah. My next key driver is Liam Lawson.
Yeah, what a drive.
Came from 19th, where he had 60 place penalty for all the power unit stuff he had to take, and he finished 9th.
How good's that?
And he clearly flogged his teammate Sushi Tsunoda.
He also pulled off a really nice move on Fernando Alonso, which was...
him and Alonso have been at each other all weekend.
I know, that's why it was kind of like
And
nice to have him
I
beat
know
him.
he's a Kiwi, but when he pipped Fernando Alonso, part of me was just like, "Good lad,
Yeah.
well done."
Yeah.
I like that. That was good.
Awesome weekend from him.
And the final key driver for me was Franco Colapinto
How good. A driver not named Alex Albon getting points consistently.
in a Williams.
Williams. It's almost sad that we've got Sainz. Like, as excited I was for Sainz, and I still am. It's great. Sainz is an amazing driver, but it's like we've got this. I feel like we've got this little gem here that we want to keep mining to turn it into the gold that we want to get out of it.
He might be getting the Audi seat.
If he keeps racing like this, why couldn't he?
And frankly, if we're talking about the Audi seat, very briefly, I think he's done more than Valtteri Bottas to get that seat.
100%. It's his fourth race, and I think he scored points in 3 of them.
Yeah.
He's been unreal.
He's certainly made Logan Sargent look like shit.
It just makes you wonder why we stuck Logan Sargent for so long. Like, we knew so much about Logan Sargent very early on. Why did we need to do 18 months of it to figure this out? You know?
See you in Suzuki,
If you
boys.
signed Franco Colapinto 6 months ago, you wouldn't have had to have forked out for Carlos Sainz at all.
Exactly right. And we'd be... Where are we now? I think we're 8th in the championship.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. We'd be well past... who are we battling for 7th?
Because Haas and
probably.
RB are fighting for 6th.
We'd probably be in the fight with them, I reckon.
Yeah.
Potentially. The way he's... 4 races, 3 point... Like, it's... Kudos to the lad. He's unreal.
All right. And then we get to the helmet drivers. There's the PK kick.
A PK kick. Wah!
First one, I'm going to go with Lewis Hamilton. He had a
He
shocker.
actually didn't have that great of a weekend.
He
He didn't
had
have a good weekend.
I'm glad that Ferrari are paying him $500 million. Wow.
Yeah, this wasn't one of his best, was it?
Oh, wow.
What did he qualify in? P16? Didn't make it out of Q1 and then binned it in the wall?
Oh, yeah, it
In the
was
race?
something shocking like that. And he was doing really well in the race, and then he just fucked it into the wall. Fun! So there's Lewis Hamilton, Lance Stroll, purely for Lance Stroll existing. He's the new Logan Sargent. I've just got to put him in by default.
Every week.
He's the
Every week I look at the race and I look at the standings and there's Stroll in 18th or 19th. And there's Fernando Alonso fighting for, P10, P9. Every week without fail. And you're just sitting there going like, how does this team keep getting up every morning?
It's always Bottas, Stroll, Zhou Guan Yu. And then random.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Every race.
And then Fernando Alonso's somewhere in P9 or P10.
You know what it is? Lance Stroll is the Port Pirie of the Shittown Power Rankings list.
Still shit.
Yeah, still shit.
Every week.
My next helmet driver, and fuck it, I know people will say, you're just picking on him. I'm not picking on Sergio Perez. I mean,
Yet again, just underwhelming. Nothing. Liam Lawson outdrove him this race. I mean, he didn't finish above him on points, but he shouldn't even be close.
Yeah, well, there was I think 10 laps there where Sergio Perez was struggling to get past. I think it was Liam Lawson.
It was Yuki Tsunoda, I think.
Oh, Sushi Tsunoda.
Yeah, he couldn't get past him.
Couldn't get past the guy in the B team. What?
This is every week. This is every week with Sergio. They're gonna finish third in their constructors because of Sergio Perez.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't got to the points yet, but Ferrari's in the battle now. So they're gonna smash Red Bull, I
They're
reckon.
8 points behind Red Bull.
Yeah, Verstappen can't do it on his own. Like it's.
Well, clearly Verstappen can't do it on the fucking track either. So my next key driver, I'm going to put Max Verstappen. My next helmet driver, Max Verstappen. Because frankly, that routine with him and Lando Norris was just ordinary. You know what it is? It reeks desperation.
It is a little bit.
But unfortunately, I also put Lando Norris in this list too because he's got a
funny
few.
there because he started on pole and finished 4th. So
Yeah, once again, pole's not the place to be
Well,
for
this
Lando
guy-
Norris, is it?
he doesn't like being P1, does he?
He's
Unless it's in Singapore.
he's a
he's
diamond.
fine.
He's a diamond, but my God, he needs some polishing. If he's going to be
Yeah,
world
he's got to work on
champion,
that on the Aussie.
He's a cubic zirconia
He's
at the
got to
moment.
work on that.
Looks like a diamond, but
yeah, it looks like a duck, but not quite quacking like a duck at the moment.
yeah, he's laboratory grade.
Right. So who we voting for the helmet driver?
Oh, I'm going to go Lewis Hamilton, just because, we should be seeing a lot more
Lewis
out of him.
Hamilton?
Yeah, Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Mid-Tableton.
Midfielder.
Midfielder.
Who you going, JB?
I am going to give it to Alpine for making their cars look like a McLaren and then finishing 17th and 19th.
That's what happens when you buy a McLaren off Wish.
So go and suck my dick, you French motherfuckers, with your Timu fucking piece of shit wannabe McLarens in 17th and 19th, you French fucks.
When you sent us that photo of their livery, I just thought, oh, what the fuck are they doing? Well,
At first I thought it was a McLaren. I'm like, yeah. At first I looked at it and went, where's the chrome on it? I thought there was going to be chrome on it. And then I saw the A and I'm like, the fuck?
I don't even know how they were allowed to do that.
But if you looked at the front of the car, it actually had like a sunrise at the front of the car. Unfortunately, no one saw it because no one saw them on the telecast.
Yeah, there was no rise getting out of them, that's for sure.
It was nothing.
I'm sure it would have been a good sunrise in the fucking rear view mirror of literally everybody. You fucking spastics. I'm so happy they had a shit weekend. They pissed me off so much. And they're like, I can't wait for these guys to be fucking 20th and 19th. And lo and behold, I'm pretty sure they were like 70th. I'll get the standings. I'm pretty fucking sure they were like 17th and 19th.
Yeah, well,
Just to
Gasly was up there for a while,
absolutely
and
make it great.
then they realised it wasn't a McLaren, it was in fact an Alpine, and he fell backwards to where they belonged.
Then they realised they bought the car off Wish.
Yeah.
Then they realised it was powered by Renault. Oh, God. Yeah.
They were 12th and 18th. 12th and 18th in the fucking wannabe Dayglow McLaren, you fucking wankers. You fucking wankers. Get what you deserve on that one.
Next week's race, they're
You
going to
get
show up.
what you deserve.
Next week's race, they're going to show up in a red car
Yeah.
with a PH on the back wing. And then the week after that, they're going to show up in a car that's blue with a red donkey on the side.
That should be their thing. For the rest of the year, they just do piss take liveries of other cars.
Sponsored by Wish.
Fucking at this rate, they could put the Haas colours on the side. That might help them out a bit better than what they've got going on.
Put the livery with the What was that energy drink they had a couple of years ago, and he stiffed them on the money?
Rich energy.
Read the
Yeah, that's what they should do.
put that livery
I
up.
mean, how much worse could they be?
If they're gonna do that, they might as well put fucking Clarkson, May, and Hammond on the side of the car. How hard can it be?
Just a driving billboard, hey. That's literally what they should be.
Well, I suppose my options are split. I can go with budget McLaren, McLaren off Wish, or Puis midfielding. You know what? Because of the insult of the livery, I'm going to go with Alpine.
Yeah,
I'm going to go with Alpine.
I like that call.
I was going to go Max Verstappen, but we'll go that one. That works. All right. So, as I try and catch my breath, we get to the news. The first news item, and this was kind of breaking right around the time we recorded the last episode, which is that Daniel Ricciardo has in fact been dumped from the Red Bull system. He kind of knew it was happening going into the weekend. And it shows the viciousness of the Red Bull system. Frankly, I think the wrong driver in the Red Bull system got dumped. Sergio Perez. It's a shame that Daniel Ricciardo is not going to be on the grid.
Yeah, we've lost an icon, like just a character, one of the biggest character the sport has. And like you said, I feel like he's the wrong. As much as his form wasn't great, I still feel like there was another driver that deserved to be dropped before he did. And I think everyone would have loved to have seen that last-ditch cameo of him having 6 races. You know, they should have been given Daniel Ricciardo what they're giving Liam Lawson now. You know, 6 races at the end of the year to see what you can do in that car. And then if it didn't work out, well, you're promoting Lawson or Tsunoda next year. You know, but here we are. Unfortunately, Daniel Ricciardo's the one who loses out, which is a bit sad because, you know, he's just been an amazing driver for a very long time.
But, you know, F1's loss might be Australian Supercars' gain because he is back in Australia now. So, and there is an Australian Supercars story coming up soon. So
that is the kind of big fish Supercars kind of need if it wants to bring any more eyeballs to it, because it doesn't get a lot these days. But if you were to bring Daniel Ricciardo in there,
to bring eyeballs back to it, Daniel Ricciardo is the man.
Yeah,
particularly with Toyota joining in 2026, joining Australian Supercars.
2026, yes.
Yeah,
Toyota Supra GR with the V8 engine.
Yeah, and they're teaming with Walkinshaw Andretti because, you know, no one inside F1 knows who Andretti is. You know,
no market
value.
No market value.
You know, other than his old man Mario Andretti was 1978 world champion, but we won't talk about that one. So yeah, Daniel Ricciardo has left F1.
Yeah, the writing was on the wall for a while for that one.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Yeah, we
We've
were
been calling it for a little while.
We had,
so.
yeah.
Next news item. Next year, the FIA are ditching the 1 point fastest lap bonus point. This was a reaction to Daniel Ricciardo stealing the fastest lap point from Lando Norris at his last Grand Prix in Singapore.
All this tells me is that the FIA is admitting that there's a problem that Red Bull have 2 teams. That's all it tells me. All it tells me is instead of them going, oh, we need to get rid of RB being a B team in the sport, we're just going to get rid of the point. Well, hang on a second. Why don't you fix the problem, which is that RB's exploited the fact they've got 2 teams, strategically took a point at the end of the race to take it off their competitor, and they shouldn't have that option because their B team should be in Formula 2. They shouldn't be able to hand another team in the same race an order that's going to help their team out.
It's a very sticky point, though, this B team thing, because I'm pretty sure the FIA sort of wants to get Red Bull to sell the other team to Andretti. Andretti doesn't want to buy someone's leftover sloppy seconds of a team. And Red Bull wants to get as many of their drivers onto the grid as humanly possible, no matter how shit most of them are. So it's a whole bunch of greedy people trying to get greedy things out of greedy situations. But it does highlight...
Yeah.
It does
getting rid of the fastest lap point doesn't, get rid of the fact that Red Bull exploited a loophole, basically, to stop McLaren getting a fastest lap point.
Yeah, it's just covering it up in a sense. It's just... It's kind of just covering it up to me, because it's like...
Oh, we spoke about it again before we started recording. I don't know why they didn't just make the fastest lap bonus point to everyone.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been top 10. It should be whoever's the fastest lap of the race. What does it matter where your position is?
Yeah, because then...
Yeah, that'd be massive for the little teams.
Yeah.
Exactly. It would actually add some jeopardy to the end of the race because the bottom 10 teams might as well pit and try and get a bonus point.
Yeah.
It gives them something to go for if they're not fighting for points anymore.
Sauber might have actually gotten points.
Yeah. Yeah, they might have this year because they might have got one right.
You got to change the rule, though, because if you do that, you'd have to, instead of it being top 10, you got to be on the lead lap. Because I don't think you can be a car that's 2 laps down and you get a world championship point.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
And the rival ahead of you finishes 11th and they get none. It's like, well, they got a point for finishing 8 spots behind me and 2 laps down. That's not very fair. So,
yeah,
you'll have to tweak that rule a little bit, but yeah.
Maybe ditching the fastest point thing is the best idea.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, I'm not completely sad to see it go.
It's a gimmick. I mean, no one really cares. The notion that a fastest lap point is going to decide a world championship is
laughable.
Will never happen.
Yeah.
Will never happen.
I think for me, it either needed to be for all 20 teams, like it just needed to be, and as you said, JB, on the lead lap, or I honestly don't care that it's gone because it's,
it's a gimmick. It's a gimmick.
Couldn't care less about it, but I just find it interesting that to me, it just means the FIA is, to me, admitting that we have a problem with two teams basically being conjoined in this race. We shouldn't have that.
No, it's the FIA not admitting it by fixing a problem that didn't really...
Exactly right. They're trying to cover it up, is what I'm trying... they're trying to cover up the fact that is a problem, and instead of addressing that, or we're just going to take away this loophole system that they've used, and that way we can say we've done something about it and push it under the rug and keep moving forward. But it's like, really what we all want to see is 10 constructors on the bloody grid, not a B team. We don't want to see a B team anymore. Put them in F2. That's where they should be.
Yeah, correct.
Right, the next news item, I forgot to put a photo in here, but it will be on the video version. At the end of 2025, Renault is shutting down their F1 engine production. They're not making engines. They're going to be a customer team from 2026.
So sell a team.
Yeah, that's right. They should be forced to sell a team because we're not letting Andretti get on, who's got all the right in the world to be on the grid, but we're going to allow teams like Alpine, who are taking up a seat, who are a constructor, and that's what we want. We want engine manufacturers in the sport, and they're blatantly just pulling out and just not giving a crap, just basically taking up a license in this, a franchise, as you call it, in the only 10 spots we've got, and they're not having a go like they should be. Well, get out. This is meant to be the pinnacle. We want constructors, we want, manufacturers in the sport. They are one. So if they're going away from it, get out of the sport. Don't take up a spot and half-ass it. Like, if you're not going to build the engines anymore, drop out.
My somber tone over this is the fact that, one, we're losing an engine manufacturer, or your power unit supplier, that's been around in F1 for 47 years, I think it was.
Yeah, we're losing history.
And, I mean, they've won multiple world titles, like with Williams, with Red Bull, with Benetton. So they're a key part of the history of F1. But the somber tone is also all the people that are going to lose their jobs. Particularly, they were the ones who were at Monza this year protesting. They bought a section of tickets. They went on strike from their work and went to Monza and were protesting because they bought an entire section of seats on the main straight and at Parabolica, and were protesting the fact that they knew that the factory was going to get shut down. And they've all been promised, you're still going to have jobs because you're getting moved to the engine development part of the endurance racing. Well, I hate to say this, but why can't they just take the tech from the endurance racing and put it in the Formula 1 car?
Well, it tells me they're not serious about Formula 1 anymore. It tells me they may be more serious about endurance racing, which is fine, but go off and do endurance racing and give up your license in Formula 1. Like, I feel like just because you have a place in Formula 1, you're guaranteed it forever. Like, there almost needs to be like targets that each competitor is gunning to make to stay in Formula 1. You shouldn't just take up a ticket, like take up a seat and just half-ass it, phone it in every week. No, we want to see the best every week. And if you're not interested anymore because of whatever's going on, you can't afford it, whatever it is, sell the team.
Yeah, and I just don't get... Maybe if they actually stop worrying about chopping and changing management, just put Flavio Brigatore in front of it. Even though apparently Flavio Brigatore is like, look, your engines are shit. We got to do something else other than create engines. But maybe if they... Because they've got that partnership with Nissan. Maybe if they spoke to Nissan, their partners, and went, how can we make this better? It's not beyond the realm of possibility to pick up the phone and call a Japanese developer and go, hey, we need some help.
Yeah, why don't they? I know we're going to get to it, but why they should be doing what Haas is doing with Toyota.
Yeah.
with another man.
it
With
seems
Nissan,
like
I'm saying.
seems like they're throwing in the towel a little bit. But
That's exactly right. That's what it
they're
seems like.
it seems been
They're just doing
been in a shambles phase. Seems like the logical just the end of Alpine in Formula One. Honestly,
Must just be a
the
French
team's been
thing,
in
hey,
shambles
just
for-
raising the
the
white
team's been
flag.
in a shambles for fucking ages, and now they're stopping developing engines. The next step is the team leaves the sport. Like that's it. That's the next progression is that's the end of Alpine. So we'll see.
The next news item is to do with Australian supercars, and this broke this afternoon that Mark Winterbottom, aka Frosty, he's retiring at the end of the season from Australian supercars.
From full time driving. Massive Frosty fan I was mid 2000s.
You know what
After Marcus Ambrose left the sport, he was the next man up, and he was brilliant. I remember 2007 Bathurst was amazing. Him and Stephen Richards. He won the championship in
2014.
Won Bathurst in 2013.
Yeah,
good driver, very good driver.
But this does open the door for Daniel Ricciardo to come into Australian supercars.
They have to throw Daniel Ricciardo some actually good coin, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, the Daniel Ricciardo thing could work in favour of, like, you've got Toyota coming in 2026. So he might be that star power to help that project.
Do you see him?
He definitely is, but he's going to need to be compensated pretty well.
He's got to hit the
He would
ground
have to
running
be
too.
The highest paid driver on the grid by some margin, which will ruffle a lot of feathers.
Do you think supercars could afford getting him in over, say, an IndyCar, who would Ricciardo would bring a lot to an IndyCar?
I don't think supercars' pockets are deep enough to maintain Daniel Ricciardo for a long period of time. Maybe 1 or 2 years, but I don't think supercars, especially the way it is now, I don't think their pockets are deep enough. Like, the viewership's down, the sponsorship's down. People don't give a fuck about supercars in this country anymore. It's the first Bathurst I've missed in 20 years, and yes, I was working, and yes, it was a shit race. But I didn't even bother going back, even watching the highlights. I don't even know. I know Kostecki won the race. I don't even know who came second or third, because that's how little interest I've got in supercars in general at the moment.
As soon as we cease engine manufacturing in Australia, they killed the sport. Completely killed the sport.
Yeah. And, I think
I think I said that. I think I said that supercars in this country died when Scott McLaughlin said he was going to America. Because then the next year, Shane Van Gisbergen dominated the championship, and then Gizzy got bored too, and Gizzy left as well. And now, the two best drivers that supercars produced, one's in IndyCar, one's in NASCAR.
Yeah.
And no one gives a fuck about Kostecki. No one gives a fuck about Will Brown. No one gives a fuck about Brock Feeney. Cam Waters. I'm a Cam Waters fan, but he's doing fuck all, so I don't give a fuck about him either. I don't give a fuck about supercars. Their two best drivers that drew eyeballs to the sport left 5 years ago. So, and it hasn't been the same since.
Well, I think a great wise person put up on Facebook that Australian supercars rivalries died when the Holden badge died.
Yeah, as soon as we stopped manufacturing engines, it used to be tribal. It used to be Holden and Ford, because we both had factories in the country. We had models in the country. Like, there was pride in building cars, and that's what racing is. Car manufacturing put on track for us to watch, and that's how you pick your allegiance, and it filters down into the road cars that people buy. As soon as we gave that up, no one gave a shit anymore, because there was no pride in it anymore. It was gone. Like, if you're not going to be any pride in it, it's not the pinnacle of. You're going to go. All the eyes are going to go to Formula One, or they're going to go to another motorsport in the world that's, probably better racing if we think about it.
When you watch it, you're watching two American cars going around Bathurst.
Yeah, so you might as well watch fucking IndyCar or NASCAR. Yeah.
Correct.
It died as soon as we.
Just bring NASCAR over to Bathurst. We're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
It'll probably be more entertaining.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far, but
Get some IndyCar racers to come over.
Yeah. Just bring the NASCAR grid to Bathurst, and then those motherfuckers can't turn right anyway. It'll be hilarious.
Right, final news item is that Haas F1 announced a technical partnership with Toyota Gazoo Racing.
Yeah, this is just a technical partnership, not an engine partnership, right?
No, it's
At the
just,
moment.
Yeah, it's so they're still getting all their parts from Ferrari. They're getting other parts designed by Toyota, and the chassis is still being built by Dallara. I made a joke online saying next thing they're going to announce is that they're ditching Ferrari power units for Daihatsu power units.
They might
And-
as well keep
and the
the
gearbox-
eclectic mix going.
The gearbox is going to be designed by Proton. They're going to run a Kia Turbo. But I mean, good on them for going, you know what? Let's open the floodgates a little bit. Let's go with Toyota. I think this will lead to eventually Haas ditching the Ferrari gear and becoming a Toyota partner and actually getting Toyota back in as a power unit supplier.
I agree.
I'm absolutely on board with that, and that is the end result. That would be awesome.
I think this team in 5 years' time becomes Haas Toyota, and I'm here for it.
Oh, their names.
I'm fucking
They're going to be
here
a
for it
name
too.
sponsor next year. It's going to be Haas Toyota.
Right, but they're not the main sponsor. I think MoneyGram's still got a couple of years left on their contract. So, but as soon as that's up, I imagine if this technical partnership goes well, which I believe it will, Haas at the moment's going great.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't Toyota's Japanese manufacturer. Ayo Komatsu's Japanese. Like, I believe that's probably what's allowed this partnership
Toyota Gazoo Racing's base is in Cologne, Germany, because they still got that really shit wind tunnel. That every time a team uses it, their car goes backwards.
Hopefully Haas aren't using that, because Haas don't have a wind tunnel. They use Ferraris, isn't that right?
Yeah, but apparently at some point they do have to use the Toyota one.
They're not allowed to use Ferraris anymore.
Oh, no, they can still use the Ferrari one, but they can only use the Ferrari one. Ferrari's not using it. So if they've got to use it when Ferrari's using their one, they've got to go to the Cologne, Germany one. Well, that's fucked. The thing I'm looking forward to the most, though, is I've got a photo of the Haas car, and if you look at the end of the nose, it's got the Haas logo. I kind of want the Toyota logo right there.
Yeah, that would look
Right
good,
there. And then on the rear wing, it's got to have Prado.
Prado Headcruiser GXL.
Right. So that's the last news item. So we get to the driver standings. So Max Verstappen is still leading the Drivers' Championship on 354 points with 5 races to go. 5 races? 5?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lando Norris is in second place with 297 points. Third place is Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari with 275 points. Oscar Piastri is in fourth with 247 points. Fifth place is Carlos Sainz with 215 points. In sixth place is Lewis Hamilton with 177 points. George Russell is in seventh with 167 points. Christ, that is a lot of sevens. Eighth place is Sergio Perez with 150 points. Ninth place is Fernando Alonso with 62 points. And 10th place is Nico Hulkenberg in the Haas with 29 points. He's finally toppled the dominance of the window licker in the top 10.
Thank God for that.
The team standings. Leading the constructors is McLaren on 544 points. In second place is Red Bull Racing with 504 points. Third place in the Ferrari is 496 points.
8 points behind.
8
Red
points
Bull.
behind. Fourth place is Mercedes with 344 points. Call me strange, call me kooky. I think Mercedes have locked in fourth place.
It would look that way.
Aston Martin have locked in fifth place with 86 points. Wow, what a massive haul they've done. Bumping up to sixth place is Haas with 38 points.
Unreal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like they were dead last year, weren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were.
Seventh place is the RB with 36 points. Eighth place is Williams with 17 points. Ninth place is Alpine with 13 points. And in 10th place, bringing up the rear, is Kick Sauber with 0 points. God, I want them to get points.
Yeah,
I
give
really
them a
do.
point, eh?
I want them to get some points.
Yeah.
It'd be really great if they got 14 points and Alpine finished dead last.
We'd all love that.
That would be justice.
It would be.
We need Valtteri Bottas to just cannon through the field like he did that one time in Hungary and take everyone out, and Guan Yu Zhou somehow gets the win.
All right, so we get to the socials. You can check us out on YouTube on the F1 Chat, care of Vindicator 18 channel. You can also check us out on our dedicated channel, the F1 Chat 1. You can interact with us on Facebook on the F1 Chat. We are on X as the F1 Chat 1. Don't forget the 1. We are on Rumble as the F1 Chat, and we are on Spotify as the F1 Chat. And our next race is this weekend. We're back at Mexico, which means I've got to dig out my MP3 file of the Mexican version of the Formula One theme for the intro for the next episode.
For the Formula One.
Formula One. Let's see Sergio Perez if he could actually finish the race this year and not try and kill everyone.
Do you think he's going to announce his retirement?
He's made a video saying, I'm not announcing my retirement, I'm staying.
Right, okay.
So... And apparently in a few weeks, Sushi Tsunoda gets a crack in the proper Red Bull car as a test.
Yeah, there we go.
And then they're going to give Liam Lawson a crack in it. So, if Perez doesn't announce he's going to retire, I reckon they're going to announce he's retiring for him at the end of next year.
Yeah.
My money is on Liam Lawson replacing him at the top team.
I think so too. I think Helmut Marko's got a thing for Lawson. And he's also driving great. I mean, today was an example.
Yeah. So, JB, you got anything you want to add?
No, good boys. I've got to try and catch some Z's in a second, so I will talk to you Internetland.
All right.
But,
well, on
in
behalf
the Pipebomb Studios next week.
All right. Well, thank you, JB. Thanks, Brody, for coming back again. And thank you, everyone who listens, all two of you. We do appreciate our listeners. We do appreciate people commenting in that. And thank you for tuning in. Until next week, it is goodbye.